Hello my dear guys, welcome to the video. In this video we're going to look at the resultant of parallel forces which will lay a very greatest foundation for you to understand or solving so many problems related to moment. Right, let us go get started and you will understand it more clearly. You can understand the heading more clearly while at the completion of this whole video. So don't skip any part in the middle. Try to interact with each and every second of this video, right? So here on the screen you can clearly see I have taken an object. On this object on which some forces are being acted. So see here one force is acting uh, with 15 newtons. Let us say it is acting at 15 newtons, okay, and also there is another 15 newtons being acted here, right? And it is necessary to keep in mind that this is not a couple. So what I'm doing is I'm placing forces, so I'm going to represent the final force at some point. Clear? So I'm taking another force which is 16 newtons and another force which is 70 newtons, maybe 50, 60 and 70. And let us take another force which is pointing upwards. It is, let us say it is 40 newtons maybe. So these are the forces which are acting on the body. So for this system I have to calculate on the object there are 5 different forces are acting. 5 different forces are acting. For this all the 5 forces on the body, I have to find out what is the final force that is acting on the body. What is the final force? This all the forces are acting on the body, it is okay, but with the application of all these forces the body will be subjected to a final force. You will be subjected to only one force. That is the thing we are going to find out. So let us add all these 5 forces and let us find out the total force, the total or the final force. The forces which are heading down are taken as negative, and the forces which are heading towards in upward direction are taken as positive, or else vice versa. So negative sign use it for the forces which are pointing down and positive is taken for the forces which are going up. For our case, in this case we are taking in this way. Fine. So let us calculate it. Let us uh, summate all the vertical forces. Since only vertical forces are acting on the body, let us add all these forces. So 50, which is acting towards downwards, taken as minus 15 newtons. So let us not write newtons, and we will write it in the end, minus 50. And there is another force that is 60, and which is pointing towards down, and we have this force 40 which is going up, so it is plus 40 plus another 50, it is pointing towards up, 50 plus, and we are left with 70 which is pointing up, and the final it is newtons. So here we can clearly see plus 50 minus 50 both were cancelled, minus 60 plus 40, and the solution comes out to be minus 50 minus 60 plus 40 minus 20, minus 20 plus 70, it is plus 50, plus 50. See here in the answer I have represented the sign plus. Why I have represented the symbol plus? Plus, it is nothing but it is not for the value, it is indicating the direction of the force. After applying all these forces, the final force which comes out after adding all these forces, the final force which is acting on the body is with a magnitude of 15 newtons, and it is acting vertically upward direction. So that positive symbol will tell us which direction it is going to. If we take no, let us not do any confusion, and the plus symbol is directly indicating or directly telling us the force is 50 newtons, and that 50 newtons is acting towards up. So this is how we can calculate the resultant force, resultant of parallel force. See, you can clearly see all these forces are parallel to each other. They may be opposite to each other or in the same direction, but they were parallel to each other because their line of action of forces of each forces is parallel to one another. So that is the reason. So let us understand another point which is very useful. So I have taken another body on which a force is acting in this direction. So the force which is acting in this direction, it is, let us say it is 40 newtons, and the same 40 newtons is acting in the same direction, or else it may be taken here maybe. In order to find out the final force, the same 40 newtons is acting in the opposite direction. In order to find out the final result of the force, I am considering the result of the force. I am not adding any quantity, but here for the forces itself. So the force which is pointing downwards is negative, so taken as 40. So all the, let us sum all the vertical forces. It is minus 40, and the force which is going towards, wait a second, 40 newtons, sigma v, all the vertical forces. So the force which is coming down is taken as minus 40, plus the force which is going up, it is plus 40. So minus 40 plus 40 finally comes out to be 0. So sigma v equals to 0. Since only vertical forces are being acted, there is no possibility for any horizontal forces. That is the reason sigma h is also 0. In this case, though both the forces are acting on a body, and it can be concluded saying there is no force acting on the body since we got zeros here. It is obvious that the horizontal force is of course 0, but while calculating this vertical force, though two forces in vertical are acting on the body, we got 0. It directly means that there is no force being acted on the body, and this condition is known as equilibrium. This is a very silly point, or a very basic point to understand our second unit. This helps you in our second unit, and the thing which we have discussed in our previous page. So here what we have discussed is very useful, is going to be very useful while solving problems in moments, or else principle of moments, which we are going to discuss in our next video. So hope you have understood this thing and keep this in mind, and it will be very useful. Thank you so much. Bye.